Trigonometry, one of the important and yet scoring topics of math. It is a study of relationships in mathematics involving height, distances and angles. But trigonometry is difficult. This is what we have already framed in our head, maybe because of its various formulae. But believe me, it is very easy topic. We need to just develop the habit to understand the concept rather than just mugging up. If you can recall our previous sessions, we have talked about all the basics needed in learning trigonometry. It has been explained logically. If you haven't gone through them, we also have one compiled session on it here for you to have them all in one place. We would suggest you to watch it before beginning with this session. So in this session we are going to revise the concepts and various formulae of trigonometry, which are very useful in solving any type of question in trigonometry. We will also learn few tips and tricks so that we will never forget them. Let's first talk about the 6 trigonometric ratios. So as we know, in a right angle triangle, the longest side is defined as hypotenuse. The rest 2 sides are called opposite or adjacent with respect to the angle we are talking about. And the ratio of sides of a right angle triangle are called trigonometric ratios. There are only 6 such combinations are possible, and thus we have the 6 trigonometric ratios: sine, cos, tan, cosec, sec and cot. In our very first session we have seen one mnemonics, SOHCAHTOA, which is helpful to learn these ratios. Here S, C and T stands for sine, cos and tan. O, H and AR stands for opposite side, hypotenuse and adjacent side. These 3 are the basic trigonometric ratios, and to get the rest 3, we need to just reverse these ratios. And thus we get cosec, sec and cot. Now if we observe, sine and cosec has the same elements in their ratio, and cosec can be obtained just by inverting the sine ratio. Therefore the multiplication of sine and cosec is 1. Similarly, when we reverse the cos ratio, sec is obtained. And so multiplication of sec and cos is 1. And same goes for tan and cot. And therefore the pairs sine cosec, sec cos, tan cot are called inverse trigonometric ratios. So further we write sine as 1 upon cosec, or cosec is equal to 1 upon sine. Same way cos is equal to 1 upon sec, and sec is equal to 1 upon cos. And tan is equal to 1 upon cot, cot is equal to 1 upon tan. Now, if we take the ratio of sine and cos, we get the same ratio as tan. Thus we have got one more formula, that is tan is equal to sine upon cos, and since tan and cot are inverse, cot is equal to cos upon sine. So you see, by just simply playing with these 6 trigonometric ratios, we can derive the different formulae. Let's summarize the formula we learnt till now. Now we proceed to the next. So we are going to see a small trick to remember this value table for standard angles 0, 30, 45, 60 and 90 degrees. These values are very important and we often use them in solving trigonometric questions. So to build this entire table, we first write down the numbers from 0 to 4 in below these angles. Now divide each of them by 4, then take the square root. And this is the value for our very first trigonometric ratio, sine. We read it as sine 0 is 0, sine 30 is half and so on. Now recall, we have already learned this trick and its logical explanation too in our one of the sessions. So if you wish to watch that particular session, you may click here. So after getting the values for sine, we get the values for cos by simply writing these values in reversing order. And once we get the values for sine and cos, we use the concept of inverse trigonometric ratios to get the further values. So as we know, sine is inverse of cosec and vice versa, so the value for cosec 0 will be equal to 1 upon sine 0, that is not defined. Cosec 30 will be equal to 1 upon sine 30, that is 2, and like this you will get all the values for cosec 2. Next we know sec is inverse of cos, so similarly sec can be obtained by inverting the cos ratio. Now only tan and cot are left, and we also know that the ratio of sine and cos is tan. So we divide the value of sine by the value of cos to get the values for tan. Tan and cot are inverse trigonometric ratios, so once again by flipping the tan ratio we get the values for cot. And you can see the value table is completed. I hope this was easy for you. We know a right angle triangle has one fixed angle of 90 degrees. So it is very much obvious that the sum of the rest two angles must be 90 degrees. Therefore, those two angles are called complementary angles because they complete a triangle. Let's now give some values to its sides x, y, z. And we also write the 6 trigonometric ratios for both the angles theta and 90 minus theta. So what we observe here? We observe that the value for sin theta and cos 90 minus theta are same. Then cos theta and sin 90 minus theta are equal. Similarly, the value of tan theta and cot 90 minus theta are equal. Cot theta and tan 90 minus theta are equal. Same thing happens with cosec and sec 2. So understand that sin, cos, sec, cosec and tan, cot, these pairs are equal for the two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. And hence these pairs are called complementary. And these complementary pairs we can never forget because we have to just add co of the word complementary before sine, secant and tangent. Now next thing that we are going to learn is about the three basic trigonometric identities. Pythagoras theorem is the very first step in getting these three. So in this right angle triangle, if we apply Pythagoras theorem, we write hypotenuse square is equal to opposite side square plus adjacent side square. Divide these thrice, once by hypotenuse square, then by opposite side square and then by adjacent side square. And now as we already know that this ratio is defined as sine, this is cos and then cosec, cot, sec and tan. So friends, since Pythagoras theorem is the initial step in getting these three identities, these are also called Pythagorean identities. And like all the other formulae of trigonometry, these three are also very important in solving trigonometric questions. And they are very easy to remember because once we know that sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1, then to obtain the other two, we divide this identity first by sin square theta and then by cos square theta. So all the formula that we learned till now is very helpful in solving the trigonometric questions, especially the identities. But in trigonometry, there are word problems too which are also equally important. And to solve them correctly, along with this formula, we should also understand few basic terms like horizontal level, line of sight, angle of elevation and depression. Let's understand each of these in more simpler terms. So when we look straight, or parallel to the ground, the line is called horizontal level. Now the line from an observer's eye to a distant point is called line of sight. And then whether the observer is on the ground or on top of a building, that line will be the line of sight only. Now when we look up, the angle formed by the line of sight with the horizontal level is called the angle of elevation. But when we look down, the angle made by the line of sight with the horizontal level is the angle of depression. So friends, this basic knowledge helps us in drawing accurate diagrams while solving word problems. So look at this question and its diagram. From the top of a 40-feet tall building, the angle of depression to the base of a tower is 60 degrees. And the angle of elevation to the top of the tower is 30 degrees. Find the height of the tower. So in this diagram, AB is considered as the building, EC as tower. But my question is this the accurate diagram? Well, there is one mistake in this figure. Can you spot that? Okay, let me tell you, here everything is correct except the angle of depression. Because if you are at the top of the building, then this straight line acts as the horizontal level, and when you look up to see the top of the tower or look down to see its base, this line will be the line of sight. And we have learned that the angle formed between the horizontal level and line of sight is called the angle of depression. So this angle will be the angle of depression, that is 60 degrees, right? So friends, I am sure this session will really help you all to understand the basic formula of trigonometry and to solve trigonometric questions. Get perfect in it and you can score very well. So that's all for this session. Thank you.